So this cool. Yeah, so this week, as you know, last week I tended to rabbit a little bit too much and went through and yeah, so I'll try not to go over time this week, and we'll get down to the nitty gritty and talk about menopause. We'll talk about the foods that that you should be having and the reasons why, and then the foods that you should try and avoid and the reasons why. And again, that's quite a bit of a mismatch, because there's some that works well for some people, and some that won't work well for some people. And then we'll also look at some of the ingredients that are in supplements and the reasons that they're in the supplements and the ones that you should be looking for. And then we'll go through that, and then at the end we'll have a bit of a Q&A. So feel free to fire anything at me. I'm quite open. It's fine. I just wanted to reiterate from last week, because we did have a question on the session that I'd done, and somebody had mentioned that it sounded like I was advocating fad diets, and that was the last thing that I wanted to try and get across, because from my point of view, what I was trying to say is that if you can find a dietary approach that suits your lifestyle and suits your body, then your body will work better. And that's what I was trying to do, and showing different different dietary approaches that do work for some people. As I mentioned, what works for one person won't work for another. So it may well be that if you have a high carbohydrate diet, it will work really well for you, because whole grains are very good. They can help with lowering cholesterol. They can help with giving you long-term energy, etc. But for somebody else, it won't work for you. So you have to find something that fits for you. So what I was trying to do was really just giving you different approaches and giving you different tools to be able to try and identify what would work best for you. Okay, right, I'm going to share my screen and see if this works. Right, we can see that, can't we? It's a bit different this week, because last week I had two screens. I was in my office and I had a screen there, and I had my screen where I've got all your faces. Whereas this week I'm actually in an apartment in Holland. So I've travelled here for work today. So I'm I'm currently in a strange little place. So bear with me. Right, okay. So we're going to talk about menopause, and we're going to talk about foods, ingredients, etc. So this is teaching you guys how to suck eggs. Right, the menopause. What is it? Well, I think the biggest thing for me is, I think the awareness of what menopause is huge nowadays. And I was just talking to Sarah before you guys joined, that more and more people are willing to talk about it, because it was for so long it's been hidden, and I don't know why. I don't know why it seemed as if it was something to be ashamed of or to be embarrassed about. And it's something that every woman goes through, and everybody goes through it with different experiences, different symptoms. But then it's not. It's not just the woman that goes through it. It's families as well. It's a full thing, and everybody has to be aware of what's going on, I think. And I think it's great that the topic is a lot more open, and people are willing to talk about it and share those experiences. And groups like this are fantastic, because it just gives you an open forum, because everybody goes through a different experience, and what works for one person in reducing a hot flush isn't going to work for another. But it's good that you can talk about it and share those things, because it might do. And so then you've got different tools, whereas previously, and as I say, I think it's probably only the last 5 years when it's really started to improve. But previously, people just didn't talk about it, so then it was hidden, and people suffered in silence. And I've got a really close friend of mine, and she's a personal trainer. She's really outgoing. She's does lots of different charity events for raising money for RSPCA, and she's brilliant. And the last few years, she's really suffered going through the menopause, and even to the point where she's had suicidal thoughts. And she's as she said to herself, I've never been that kind of person. I don't understand where it's come from. And it's only through, I guess, seeing people like yourselves, where she's been able to talk to others and being able to share those experiences, that she's got through it and felt better. And so I think it's a huge topic, and it's brilliant that it's finally getting out there. I was saying to Sarah that with my particular job, so I work as sounds really posh, it's not, European Technical Director for it's a Taiwanese biotech company. So we create nutraceuticals. So we do a lot of the products for the likes of Holland & Barrett, Boots, Unilever, etc. Lots of the big companies. We do a lot of the vitamins and mineral vitamins and supplements for them. So my role is that I help with creating formulations, finding out which are compliant in Europe, and putting together the products themselves and doing product development and creating them. So it's so that's why I've got a little bit of an interest in this subject, because I've seen over the last few years how popular it's become as a supplement base. So there's so many people, so many women who are looking for a more natural alternative to the HRT therapy that you get from your doctors, and they're looking for something different that they can use. So when I spoke to Sarah at our yoga class, and we got chatting, and when she asked if I do this discussion, it was something that I thought, well, yeah, I've been doing quite a lot of work on this particular subject. So it was, obviously it's something that's really interested to me. Right. So your main symptoms, again, you guys are well aware of these, but these are the ones that we try and deal with through creating supplements. So you've got your hot flashes, night sweats, your irritability. I think one of the big one is brain fog and dizziness. Trying to not kind of just like trying to get that cognitive function back, so you're not forgetting words mid-sentence, which I'll probably end up doing during this session. Obviously bloating and weight gain again, which is what we mentioned last week. Mood swings, again, stress and anxiety is a huge one, and then loss of libido as well. And we have actually done a product for that as well at work, but I'll get you the ingredients for that one. I'll talk about them at the end. So this is a little bit of obviously these slides will be shared with you, and obviously this recording will be shared as well, so you can refer back to it. But I'm just going to go through some of the particular foods that really do help during menopause. So omega-3. So omega-3, obviously you can see the cod liver oil tablets at the top there. So omega-3 comes from the likes of nuts and seeds, also from avocados, and also your oily fish, so your salmon and your mackerel. And the brilliant thing about omega-3 is it's great for cognitive function, so it helps with that brain fog. But at the same time, it also helps with hormonal imbalances. So as we mentioned last week, it's a fat. It's a one of your healthy fats, so your omega-3. So it helps to reduce inflammation around the system as well. But yeah, it helps. The main role for during menopause is that it can help with hormonal imbalances. Your soy-based products. So soy, it's I mean, in my world, in the supplements world, we don't really work with soy much anymore, because it's been demonized for a couple of reasons. One, because it's now classed as an allergen, although there's very, very few people that are allergic to soy. And two, because the connotations linked to genetically modified food, because soy, there's a lot of soy produce is genetically modified. Obviously, you can find the majority of products that are not GMO. So you can find very good sources of soy-based products, so the likes of tofu and your Linda McCartney foods. That they do are soy-based. And the beauty of soy, although a lot of those ones are quite heavily processed, it does have it's really high in estrogen, in isoflavin, sorry, which mimics estrogen in the system, and it's replacing that estrogen and mimicking that in the body. That helps to reduce a lot of the symptoms of menopause. Again, with your linseed and your sesame seeds and pulses, so pulses, your beans and your peas, again, it's really high in isoflavins. So you'll find in lots of the, which I'll speak about at the end as well, lots of the supplements, they have a lot of products that are high in isoflavins. So your likes of your red clover extract, fenugreek seed and things like that. So all these things are really good for increasing your isoflavin intake, which helps to balance your estrogen levels. Dairy, obviously dairy, again, it can be, there are quite a lot of people that are lactose intolerant, but the beauty of dairy is it contains calcium. So obviously with menopause, there's the added issue of bone density issues. So it's high in calcium and vitamin D. Vitamin D, again, helps with bone density. It's a good source of protein, which is good for all cell repairs, like we mentioned last week. So not just muscle repair, but all cellular repair in general. And it also helps you to get to sleep because it contains an amino acid called tryptophan, and tryptophan helps to create serotonin, which is a hormone that helps you to get to sleep. Okay, so that's another. That's why when you were younger, and they used to say if you have warm milk, it'll help you to get to sleep. That's why, because they say it's got the tryptophan in there to help you to turn into serotonin, which is your sleep hormone, effectively. Another geeky stat is when they used to say if you have cheese, it'll give you nightmares. It does, because the dairy in the cheese would help you to get to sleep, but then the fat in the cheese, your body's working hard to digest the fat, so your brain's still active, so then you have more dreams, and then you tend to remember your bad dreams. So it's so it makes you dream more as eating cheese. So there you go. Anyway, I'll go off on a tangent again, I apologize. Right, eggs, again, really good source of protein, good source of iron as well, which is great for fighting fatigue. And you tend to find people, women during menopause, find themselves maybe becoming more anemic. It's also got vitamin D, again, very good for maintaining bone density. Nice. So we've got fruit and veg. I mean, that's across the board. Fruit and veg is great for providing a range of vitamins and minerals. You're looking for a cross section of colours. That they say that the more vivid the colour, the more vitamins that the fruit contains, or the vegetable contains. So that's, I mean, and you do get people who will say that if you have too much fruit, it's not good for you because of the sugar. I've never seen anybody die of overeating fruit, I must admit. I think that in relation to there can be issues if you're making too many smoothies, or if you're juicing it all the time, because you're getting rid of a lot of the goodness and the fiber in the pith. And it's the pith that basically it reduces the effects of the sugar in your system. So although it does, like fruit does contain sugar, if you're eating like an apple with skin on, the fiber in the skin reduces the impact of the sugar in the apple. Green tea, really high in antioxidants. It contains L-theanine as well, which I'll talk about later, but that helps to, basically L-theanine is an amino acid that helps you to reduce your stress levels. It helps to control cortisol levels, which is your stress levels in effect. and it helps you to focus. So if you're sometimes laid in bed on a night and you think you've got 5, 10, 20 different things attacking you in your head all the time, you have L-theanine. It helps you to reduce those voices, I guess, and bring it back down to a controllable level. And then also we've got certain foods that can be detrimental to menopause, which I'm going to look at now. So there's certain foods that can hinder you during menopause. So white products and refined carbohydrates. So we're looking at breads, crackers. Yes, JC. Oh God. Yeah. So we're looking at white products. So your refined carbohydrates, so your breads, crackers, pasta, and that can increase the frequency of hot flushes through dehydration because they're very high in sodium. Also alcohol, because it narrows the blood vessels, and that can lead to hot flashes. Again, your high salt products can lead to bone density issues. So not just the hot flushes, it can lead to bone density issues because it takes the mineral out of your bone, does sodium. Sugars. So, I mean, it's all the good stuff here, isn't it? All the fun things. Sugars can lead to, obviously, we mentioned before, the issue with sugar can lead to insulin resistance, can lead to high blood pressure, as can salt. And foods that raise your blood sugar levels, such as sweets, can induce hot flashes as well, and can also make the symptoms more severe. Caffeine. Now, caffeine and spicy foods, both of these they can actually reduce the effects for some people, but for other people, they can make them worse. And the reason why spicy foods and caffeine can do that, it can dilate your blood vessels. So it can make your hot flashes worse. But for some people, there has been research that's shown that caffeine and spicy foods can reduce it. So it's one of those where it's up to you. You see what works for you. And so that's one just to be aware of. And then trans fats as well can raise your cholesterol levels, gives you a risk of heart issues, and can also mess with hormones. And trans fats, or hydrogenated fats, they're basically fats that they used to be unsaturated fats, and then they've been heated up and used for cooking. So it's like your margarines, for example, or it's the fats that they use in pastries in the shop. So it's like refined fats, and they can be really quite bad for your health. They can lead to cancers and things like that. But they have tended to have been reduced a lot in society. You don't find a lot of foods with trans fats in anymore. In the 90s and early 2000s, they were everywhere, but they're not so bad anymore. So we're going to have a look at menopause products. So the huge amount of products in the marketplace, and it's not easy to identify what you need to go for and why. So as with anything to do with nutrition, what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another. So I thought the best thing to do is to go through a list of different ingredients, show what that ingredient can do, and then you can obviously identify what your symptoms are, and then look for products that contain those ingredients. So with your hot flushes, night sweats, and sleep disturbances, as we mentioned before about the isoflavones, you can find supplements which contain linseed, soy, and red clover extract. Okay, and what they do is, as I say, they help to balance your estrogen levels, so they don't drop quite so dramatically. You can kind of keep a control on it. So then it reduces those overall symptoms of the night sweats and the hot flushes. Ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is an adaptogen. So that basically means that it helps your mind and your brain to deal with stressful situations. So what that does in a menopause product is it helps to reduce your cortisol levels. So as I mentioned before, if you're suffering with stress, your body raises its cortisol levels, And in the short term, that's your fight or flight kind of response. But over a long period of time, if your levels are continually high, it increases the chance of you suffering with long-time anxiety, stress, but also your blood pressure increases as well. So then ashwagandha helps to bring that down and to control that, and it helps you to sleep as well. Magnesium citrate. So this is a really useful ingredient, and it's good for not just for an evening prep, a nighttime ingredient, but also during the day. So it helps with restless leg syndrome, cramps. So it helps your muscles to relax. Prevents bone density reduction as well, and it helps to reduce stress and aid sleep. L-theanine, this is the amino acid that I mentioned before. L-theanine is an interesting amino acid because it's used in like pre-workout products as well, because what it does is it helps. So if you have a coffee or caffeine, if you have L-theanine, as opposed to having like a peak of energy, a rush of energy, it gives you a slow burning energy with the L-theanine. So it kind of helps you to have a longer lasting energy without having that real spike and then feeling rubbish afterwards. So it works really well with caffeine. But as an evening product, it helps to promote sleep through reducing the chatter, the mind chatter. Sage. So sage is is in lots of different menopause ingredients. It contains antioxidants. So what antioxidants do is they kind of go around the body removing something called free radicals. Free radicals are things that we get from the environment, from rubbish food that we eat, from alcohol, etc., that damages our cells. So if you have free radicals in your system, which we all do, you need to have foods that are high in antioxidants, and it helps to clean them out. It also contains anti-inflammatory properties, and so anti-inflammatory properties are really good in ingredients because it helps to reduce the flushes, because it stops the dilation of your blood vessels, which is what causes your hot flushes. Again, we've got three more ingredients here that do similar things. Black cohosh, which you may have heard of, again in relation to a menopause. It tends to be in a lot of menopause ingredients. Chasteberry as well. Again, it contains the isoflavones, and then the cranberry and strawberry. It helps to increase the size, like a nitric oxide booster. So it helps to increase the size of your blood vessels, so you're not going to get that hot flush. Ginger, because of the anti-inflammatory properties, again helps with dealing with your cellular dilation. Evening primrose, again, this is you can get this in primrose oil, so you can get this in capsules, and this helps to reduce breast pain, but also hot flushes due to reducing your hormonal changes. Again, a lot of that's due to the isoflavones in the ingredient. It's funny, my sister ordered some of the evening primrose because she's going through menopause, and she'd ordered it to my nephew's house, and he was a little bit concerned as to why. It said on the front of the packaging, great for reducing breast pain, and he was a little bit concerned because it was addressed to him. So he wondered what had gone on. So he posted it in our family support group on Facebook, and then his mum said, "Oh, sorry, I had it to the wrong address." Anyway, mentioned vitamin D during the food ingredients. Again, really good for your immunity, and going through menopause, your immune system does drop, so you're more likely to pick up colds and viruses, sickness bugs, etc. So it is really another really good reason to maintain your vitamin and mineral intake generally through diet, if you can do, if not through supplementation. So obviously vitamin C is one that you would have throughout, because vitamin C helps with so many other different things, as well as your immune system, as well as your bone density, as well as your teeth, your gums. It kind of does everything, but that's just something that should go throughout. So make sure you've got a decent amount of vitamin C throughout the day. So next we're going to look at for brain fog and for energy products. So I know this is something that affects a lot of people as well. Strangely enough, ashwagandha helps to promote clarity of the mind because it stimulates the central nervous system, so it helps you to focus. It's strange because you have a few ingredients that can do two things depending on what else you pair them up with. You've got ginseng, so again that's helps with your estrogen production, but it's also an energy booster. It contains caffeine and helps to fight stress as well. But it's classed as an adaptogen. Again, it's an adaptogen, so it helps to. It's been used for years in the Far East to help with menopausal symptoms. B vitamins. B vitamins are really easy to get into the system. Ideally, obviously, we can get them through food. We don't need a massive amount. But if you're aware that say, for example, B12 is something that is quite often reduced when you're going through menopause, if you can get like something like this, so like you can get these from Tesco's or Asda, and it's just like a tube of an effervescent tablet. Put it in water, and you can just have it one a day, and then that helps you to maintain your B vitamin energy level. And what B vitamins do is they have different functions for different ones. You've got B2, B3, B5, B7, B9, B12. But what all of them do is they help to metabolize your food into energy. So what you've eaten, they'll help to convert that into energy. They do other things as well. So, for example, B2 helps with your hair and your nails, and then B12 helps with focus. So they've got different functions to them, but they all help with metabolizing food into energy. Again, you've got your magnesium citrate there, so that helps to reduce your cortisol levels, but it also helps with muscle function. So as I mentioned, within an evening product, it helps to reduce that restless leg syndrome. It helps to reduce cramping during the day. It can help with the actual functioning of your muscles, so it helps you to move, and it also helps to maintain your bone density. Turmeric, again, this is this is an ingredient that's got a lot of publication over the last few years, and there's a lot more research that's coming out around it, and it's a great ingredient. Helps to reduce inflammation, as I mentioned before, in relation to reducing the hot flushes, but it also improves your immune system, which, as I mentioned before, can be compromised during menopause. There's a contraindication with turmeric though, which is if you're on anticoagulants, it can mess up your levels because it's classed as a natural anticoagulant. Okay, ginger is similar as well. So that's ginger can be used for helping with focus and energy, and is also an anti-inflammatory. But again, it can be an anticoagulant. So just be aware if that's any of the medication that you're on. So zinc is a mineral. Again, it helps with energy, and it helps with signaling through the brain, so it helps to maintain cognitive function. But it also, within the skin, it helps with collagen production, so it maintains your skin elasticity. That's another thing for vitamin C as well, as it helps the body to produce its own collagen, which, as you'll know, after you're 25, your collagen levels start to decrease, which is why we start to get wrinkles and fine lines, etc. So the more vitamin C helps with preventing that. And then Bacopa monnieri. Now that is an interesting one. That's an adaptogen again, and that one reduces. It's got lots of research to show that it reduces your brain fog, in the fact that it helps with cognitive function, and it helps with memory. There's lots of products that have been released into the marketplace nowadays with looking at brain fog and cognitive function. And Bacarpa Maniari is one of the main players in that, because in relation to dementia and going senile, it's been found that it can help with reducing that effect. L-theanine, again, mentioned it before. It's really useful for reducing stress and helps with just being able to focus on one thing at a time, as opposed to having lots of different mind chatter. Okay, right. I was a little bit unsure of whether to show these, because these are a couple of things that I do myself. So I started doing I've got a little, aside from working for the Taiwanese company, I've got a little company where I do my own capsules. So I do some so I do some menopause ones, but I do stress and anxiety. I do energy ones for non-menopause ones. I do pre-workout things. I do recovery ones. I do anti-inflammatory ones. So I do a whole host of different products. I do weight management ones as well, which contain an ingredient it's got the only weight management claim in Europe that you're allowed to use through the EU government, EU EFSA claims. So it's an ingredient called glucomannan, and what it does, it's a prebiotic. So it's good for cholesterol, but it's also you take it half an hour before you eat food, and it'll stop your cravings in effect. But so I just wanted to show you these two ones that I do. If anybody is interested, then I'm happy to make some up for you. But this daytime one reduces stress, anxiety, and depression, helps to improve your cognitive function, and increases your energy levels. So the ingredients, some of the ingredients were mentioned in the previous slide. I would say that before taking any supplement, always speak to a health professional, especially if if you're on any other medication. And then I do an evening one as well, which contains ashwagandha, the linseed for the isoflavones, and then the red clover extract and magnesium, and the L-theanine. I have got some tests. I've got quite a lot of people who are on subscriptions with these now, and you can have a read through these yourself. It's just a couple of testimonies, just so that you know that I'm not making things up. Right, so that's the presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Got a little bit more time now, so we can answer any questions that you may have. A nice cup of tea can often calm you down. Well, it can, and I think.
Thank you, Rich. That was really good. I'm just going to stop the recording now.